Hey everyone, and thanks for checking out To Be Continued With. I'm Mike, and if you're curious about what's happening this season on The Mandalorian, then I'm telling you now, you came to the right place. Now, if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell for notifications if you enjoy what we do here, since what we do here is very, very simple. It goes like this. I break down the latest episode of the hit Disney Plus show, while Bobcat the Legend provides the beats for this crazy-ass ride. Now, today's track is titled Two Beers. So with that being said, let's jump right in. And we do that by queuing up that intro and getting things started. Drop! Episode 18 of The Mandalorian is titled The Mines of Mandalore. And this episode of To Be Continued With basically continues to cover season 3 of this great and entertaining show. We basically start things off on the planet Tatooine and catch up with Pele, who is a great character addition to this ever-expanding universe. She's got some Jawas that are working on a speeder within her garage, and get this, those same Jawas were the ones who initially stole those parts off that speeder in the first place. I am telling you right now, it's a pretty damn good business model. Anyway, Din and Grogu land into her garage port and ask if she has any of the parts that they need to help fix IG-11. Unfortunately, she doesn't. But she does end up selling him R5, which if you remember, he's that red and white astromech droid from episode 4, A New Hope. He's the one that malfunctioned right after being bought by Uncle Owen, which in turn had him take R2 and kicked off this whole Skywalker saga. From there, Din and Grogu, who are now joined by R5, head to the planet Mandalore. When they land, Din sends out R5 to check things out. Even though he really doesn't want to, he goes. But for the record, I just want to state, he doesn't really want to go. Now with the planet messing with the ship's controls, communications between R5 and our dynamic duo are completely cut off. With that being said, Din tells Grogu to stay with the ship while he goes after R5. He basically says that he'll be right back, which we all know thanks to the Scream movies means that some crazy shit is about to go down, and it does. You see, Din finds a cave, he walks in, and suddenly gets attacked. He fights off some cavemen-looking creatures with the Darksaber, but he is still having performance issues when he's using that saber. He finds R5 though and heads back to the ship. Now, since the planet has breathable air, he begins to question just how cursed this planet really is. Now, Din and Grogu find the mines and get attacked by some crazy droid spider mix of a creature. It's a cool looking creature because basically it's encased in metal with what seems to be a tank-like pod, kind of like what Neo was in when he was plugged into the Matrix. Anyway, within the pod is where the actual creature resides, since it's like he's using the bulky spider-like exterior as some sort of armor. Now, he captures Din, but Grogu follows them since the creature didn't see him when he initially attacked. Now, Grogu tries to free Din, but the creature sees him this time, and Din tells him to get out of there, find Bo-Katan, and help him. Long story short, he Jedi flips his ass out of there, landing in his floating stroller. From there, we get Grogu's point of view as he makes his way out of the cave, and I will say that it was a pretty cool sequence, especially when a creature that looks like an alligator with wings comes out of a pipe and tries to bite the little guy as he floats by. Long story short, he makes his way to the opening of the cave and is blocked by one of those cave beasts from before. But Grogu ain't having it. Forced pushed out of the way, the creature is knocked out by our little green Padawan with relative ease. Now Grogu makes it back to the ship, and with the help of R5, they take off into space and go to pay a visit to Bo-Katan. Now, what I really like the most about this particular episode is that it ramps things up and then lets you catch your breath, only for it to wrap things up a little bit more. You see, it didn't take long for Bo-Katan to know that something was wrong since Grogu showed up all by himself. She ends up using R5's GPS system and heads to Mandalore to see what's happened with Din Djarin. Once there though, she and Grogu enter that cave again and Bo-Katan ends up confronting the cave beast, and she informs Grogu and us that these are called Alamites. And if you didn't know that, well, now you know. From there, she confronts the spider droid cyborg thing, but the only problem is that she sees the Darksaber, and it's on a table close to the creature. Now, mind you, the problem really isn't for Bo-Katan, because after she gets her hands on the Darksaber, the cyborg droid spider thing doesn't really stand a chance against her. You see, Bo-Katan is very skilled with the saber, considering that it was in her possession for some time. And it's not that heavy to weld, especially since she is able to concentrate and focus her energy and attention on using the saber properly. She ends up saving Din, and then shares some pond soup with Din and Grogu, only for Din to get up and state that he has to continue and locate the living waters. And like I said in our last episode, the link is in the description below. Din Djarin needs to purify himself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka, or basically be baptized in the living waters. Now, Bo-Katan joins him so that she can show him the way. No pun intended on that one, but that was really cool. Now, they get to the living waters, and while Bo-Katan reads an inscription that states that once these mines were once a mythosaur lair, and that the Mandalore, the Great, was able to tame these great beasts, which now are the mark of all Mandalorians. Now, as she reads this, Din is getting ready to go skinny dipping and reclaim his way, but unfortunately, he gets pulled under the water by, get this, a mythosaur. I mean, what are the odds that that would happen? It's not like they had a sign or something that could warn them, right? Anyway, it's here that the episode ends up coming to an end. But like I mentioned before, the pacing here was great. The jump scares worked very well in this particular scary episode. It had kind of a horror vibe, but we also get some great history lessons from Bo-Katan. We are returned to Tatooine for a few, and our buddy Grogu gets to show off a bit. R5 is a cool addition and an exciting ride that this episode was. I mean, the overall feeling I got when this episode came to an end was pure coolness. Now, Jon Favreau is hitting the ball out of the park, and he's keeping the Star Wars vibe throughout this show. Now, another person that's keeping the vibes going here is Bobcat the Legend, and his information is in the description below, so make sure you check him out. And also, if you're enjoying what we're doing here, thanks for checking us out, and subscribe and hit that bell so you know when our latest goes up. And if you hit that like button, please don't be lazy, hit that share button too. Spread the love and help the channel grow if you can. But since The Mandalorian has come to an end this week, it will be back next week, because just like this channel and this particular series, it's simply to be continued with.